Well, hello, friends, and welcome back. It is time for the second event guide and course breakdown of the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, whatever you want to say.
3, 2, 1, go!
We have two race weekends coming up. Both course and event guides came out at the same time. First up, we had Marathon Weekend. That event guide is done. Now we have Disneyland Half Marathon. And this is all, I should say, it's not brand new, but we haven't had a Disneyland weekend since 2017. So it's been quite a while. So a lot of this is new. For me, this is my first Disneyland race weekend. So for me, it's new. But there, of course, is some changes from compared to years past. But let's dive in. Much like the Walt Disney World event guides, we have a welcome page, except it's not from the runDisney vice president. We have Ken Potrock, the president of Disneyland Resort, welcoming us back to Disneyland, and then, of course, talks about the featured Celebrate Cherry Carinas Club. But yeah, otherwise standard digital event guide. We can go into the weekend events. Now, they do list, of course, the important information: Health and Fitness Expo, Yoga, 5K, 10K, kids races, half, and then, of course, all of our sponsors, charity information, stuff like that. All a very standard event guide. But of course, we do have some differences from this weekend from Marathon Weekend. We have the added of yoga in the morning, and we have kids races. Kids races haven't been back since COVID, so this is a different, added thing too for this weekend. Let's start out though with that important information. Here you'll see waivers, check-in, pass information, flag guidelines, costume guidelines, all the standard runDisney stuff. For your Expo check-in pass, that will come out January 9th. So be on the lookout for that, January 9th. Some simple information. Photo pass codes will be in here. Just like for Walt Disney World, they'll have the photo pass code. You enter it in for each individual race in the Disneyland app. So that's where that will be. Hoag, or Hoag, no, not really sure how you pronounce that. That will be the medical provider for this race weekend, just to make that known. But that is it for the important reminders. If you have further questions or need specific information on any of that stuff, definitely go into that tab, check out what you may be looking for. We'll go into the Health and Fitness Expo, though. This is, of course, one of the big things of the weekend. It starts on Thursday, January 11th at 10 a.m. Again, if you were a Club runDisney person, you will have early access to the Health and Fitness runDisney merchandise area. If you're Platinum, you have as a lounge, as they call it, or headquarters, where they'll have your bibs separate from everybody else's in there. So for Club runDisney, Platinum members will have the opportunity to early access to merch from 8:30 to 10, and then Gold will have 9:30 to 10. I'm not sure why it's so wildly different between the two. It's a little bit different of a window for Marathon Weekend, but I think it is a smaller space though, because we are in the exhibit hall at Disneyland Hotel versus the giant Wild World of Sports at Walt Disney World. So that probably plays a big role into it. But Platinum gets a bigger advantage for Disneyland than they do at Walt Disney World in terms of time. But anyways, like I said, check and pass January 9th. We'll get into the race and bib t-shirt pickup. Nothing really. You just got to present your ID. Nothing crazy there. Food and beverage, there will be a concession stand within the exhibit hall at the Disneyland Hotel, serving from 11 to 7 on Thursday. They'll have breakfast options for race days on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then, of course, expo options. Then there's options in downtown Disney as well. Beignets Express will be open at 8 a.m. on January 14th. Earl of Sandwich will be open at 6 a.m. on the 12th, 7 a.m. the 13th and 14th. Jamba will be open at 4:30 each day. Splitsville will be open from 7 a.m. to 10:30 on January 12th. Starbucks at 4:30 and Tortilla Joe's at 8 a.m. There will be, if you are accustomed to having food and beverage in the pre- and post-race area at Walt Disney World, there will not be that option for Disneyland, especially if you're like me and like to partake in an adult beverage after the race. That California has some different open carry laws and stuff like that, so it's harder to do those kinds of things in California. So they don't have that. That's why they list these other options in downtown Disney. They'll be opening earlier for you to partake. Expo and transportation. Parking lot will be now. If you are going to the expo and you're parking, your check-in pass will get you a discounted rate of $10 for parking. Parking is now free, unlike Walt Disney World. We're used to all this free parking all over the place for races, but that's not the case for Disneyland. So it'll be in the Pixar Palace parking structure, and they want you to show your check-in pass to get that rate. Then they give you directions on how to get from the parking structure to the Disneyland Exhibit Hall. If you are taking a ride share, they ask that you be dropped off at the downtown Disney drop-off location, and then there will be signs to direct you towards the expo. Then there's also the ATN transportation. They give you a full rundown of from the Art, the Fran, Eve options, the different public transportation options to get you to the expo and then the races. So if you depending on what your transportation option is, definitely check that and go further in detail into that. Now for the expo maps, we have the upper level and lower level of the exhibit hall. Up on the upper level, you will have the bib pickup as well as the Club Run Disney Platinum headquarters. Club Run Disney Platinum members, this is where you'll pick up your bibs and stuff like that. But otherwise, everybody else will be picking up their bibs in the upper level of the in the Magic Kingdom Ballroom. Challenge, 10K, half, 5K kids races. There will also be runner relations and Disney account services there to help out, as well as AWD there as well. So that is the upper level only. Then we go into the lower level. This is where kind of the main event is, you could say. The back side is all the Run Disney merchandise. Now, this is all in the same spot as exhibitors and everything else, so it's a much smaller space, so I wouldn't expect as much in terms of merch for this race weekend. I would also expect this race weekend to be smaller. I don't think this is going to be a giant race weekend like we're used to at Walt Disney World. So keep that in mind. If you're a Club Run Disney early person, you'll be entering over here. The virtual queue return spot is also on that side. Your exhibitors are all in the main middle area. Again, for this, they did not list any of the exhibitors. I don't know why. Normally, we get that list. Maybe it's not final. I would think it'd be finalized. I don't know, but we don't have a list of who's going to be there. Run Disney Showcase is where they'll have metal previews, stuff like that. If you order pre-packaged or pre-purchased merchandise, that location will be over there. And then finally, on the far side, you'll have the t-shirt pickup, along with towards the back there, there'll be a shirt exchange. There is one spot for a photo op. Doesn't look very large compared to like what we're used to at Walt Disney World for photo ops, so I'm not sure what they'll have there, but that is the lower level of the Run Disney Expo for Disneyland. And that is it really for the Run Disney Health and Fitness Expo at Disneyland. Again, did not mention, but I did mention for Walt Disney World, but for merchandise, there is a virtual queue for this. The virtual queue will open in the Disneyland app at 7 a.m. Pacific time. A little earlier than we're used to at Walt Disney World, so keep that in mind. Now, there's a slight difference in the virtual queue for Disneyland versus Walt Disney World. At Walt Disney World, you go through your friends list and pick off, who's joining you. For this one, you just select a number of guests. So you don't go through a friends list and add people. So just a slight difference in there, and when you're doing the virtual queue to keep in mind. Expo will be open January 11th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday, January 12th from noon to 8 p.m. And then Saturday, the 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So just, some more things to keep in mind. Before we get into the races themselves, the first event of the race weekend we'll get into is yoga. Sunrise Yoga will be inside Disneyland. This will take place on Thursday, January 11th, the day that the expo starts, of course. Parking structure will open and security will open up at 3 a.m. Again, parking is not free for this. I'll go over that in a second. Check-in will open at ticket booth 5 at 3:45. Check-in will close at 4:45. They want everybody in by 4:45. Yoga will start right away at 5, and then yoga will end at 6. They have a reminders tab for yoga. Make sure you have your ID and waiver, stuff like that. You'll receive a yoga mat and water for participating. And then for your transportation and parking, here you'll have standard. It says standard rates will apply. So just depends on I don't know. It gives you a link to what those daily rates will be, as you stuff like that. Food and beverage, again, those options at Disney Springs and the Expo. Photo pass as well, stuff like that. So pretty standard kind of basic stuff. Be interesting to see how crowded yoga is for Disneyland. I am not doing it, but I know a lot of people are, because it's new to Disneyland, not something they have done in the past. We can go back to the weekend events and we'll get into the races themselves. So let's take a dive in. And 5K race will start promptly at 5 a.m. just like all Run Disney races do. So just standard Run Disney procedure here. We do have your flag warning system, race etiquette, 5K reminders, spectating, transportation, food and beverage, photo pass, and your course. Starting out with your reminders. Pretty standard stuff, just where to place your bib, stuff like that. Make sure you go pick up your bibs at the expo, kind of thing. Spectating, this one is a little different because this race is fully inside the Disneyland parks. So they tell you can spectate at the finish line only, and that will be located at the Pixar Pier in Disney's California Adventure from 5 a.m. to 6:15 via the World of Disney and Earl of Sandwich Gate over there. That is the only spot they're saying you can spectate for the 5K. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on going out for the 5K. Transportation and parking. The parking structure will open early, and they will want you in by 4 a.m. to the parking structure. Daily parking rates will apply. Like I said, no free parking here, but otherwise, that's pretty standard. Like I said, ride share, the drop-offs. It does say for this drop-off locations for this event are not yet shared. So if you are taking an Uber or Lyft to the races, check back to see where you want to be dropped off for that. I would assume you'll be the whatever Disneyland drop-off locations there are, because you'll have a lot of people coming in from different areas, whether it be Disneyland Resort hotels or the Good Neighbor hotels and stuff. So I would assume they're having most entrances open to get to the races. Food and beverages, that's the same as talked about earlier for all of the races. But let's get into this course. So this is really one of the more special courses you'll ever see at a race. This starts inside Disneyland Park. You'll be starting right in the hub on Main Street for the Disneyland 5K. You'll run back into Fantasyland, into Toontown, back behind Toontown, then into the corner of Galaxy's Edge, back out towards back behind Big Thunder there, around New Orleans Square, through Adventureland, stuff like that. We'll back into Galaxy's Edge. You'll do a quick jaunt into there. Backstage, there'll be one water stop backstage. You run behind Tomorrowland, and then you'll run across the kind of the bus ride share drop off area there in the front, in the Esplanade spot, and then you'll run into DCA, back behind next to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. You run into kind of towards the front of DCA, then back into Avengers Campus past Spider-Man, into Cars Land, down through Cars Land. Then you'll go back out towards the San Francisco, and then into Pixar Pier, around Pixar Pier, and finishing just back behind Pixar Pier towards Goofy's Sky School. And that's where the finish will be, right outside the Grand Californian Hotel. So, compared to 2017, this has, at least based what I could tell from the course maps from 2017, Disneyland 5K. The course for that one did not start inside the park like this. It started just outside, and it seemingly has more park time for this 5K than we have had in the past. So something to look forward to there. I know Tinkerbell race weekend that used to be at Disneyland did utilize the in-park start as well. So it's something that hasn't been done in quite some time at Disneyland. So something, keep in mind. 10K. One thing I did not mention with 5K, but I'll mention here quick, is they do have pretty specific corral open and start closing times. Not like the groups that we saw for Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, but because I think these are much smaller races, that I think they're kind of getting you all out quickly to, especially because we'll be using public Anaheim roads at times and backstage areas that they need to get ready for park guests for the day, and just public traffic. So I think because these are smaller races and they really want to get you in and out to enjoy the day. So for the 10K, a race start again at 5. Corrals will open at 4. Race start line closes at 10:20 or 5:25. So that means everybody will be out on course by 5:25. We're kind of used to a little bit longer start period at Walt Disney World, but we kind of have that leeway there compared to Disneyland. All kind of standard stuff here. We'll get into spectator viewing. Spectator viewing for this, a few more options here. You can spectate along Harbor Boulevard and Catella Avenue. Spectators can also see people at the Esplanade between the two parks, and then finisher line viewing will be available in the cast member parking lot, which is where the finish line will be. So just those are your spectating spots for the Disneyland 10K. Transportation, all kind of the same. Again, we're waiting on to see where they specify rideshare drop-off. Athlete and spectator parking will be in the Toy Story parking lot. Daily parking rates will apply. Food and beverage, same as those other ones. Because this is now a timed race, you'll have tracking. Runner tracking not yet available, but it will be here on this tab, Photo Pass. Road closures, we do have a road closures tab for this because we do run on the road. So there are certain areas that will be closed for a period of time if you are driving, so keep that in mind. Pre-race staging, not a little different from past Disneyland years. We will have corrals A through F, and we all start on Disneyland Way, or Disney Way, I should say. There will be a stage, pre-race water, gear check, AWD tent, all very much smaller kind of setup compared to Walt Disney World, because, well, Disneyland is smaller and this is a smaller race weekend. But we will start right on the roadway. They do want corrals A through D to enter one certain way, and then E through F another way. So just keep that in mind depending on what corral you are in for this race. And then we get into the course. 10K course, like I said, starts on Disney Way. We will go take a left and go towards on Harbor Boulevard, and then take a right on Catella. These are the areas that they said spectators can spectate. Then our first full mile is all on the road before we take a turn backstage and go behind Cars Land and into California Adventure. We'll go right into California Adventure, and then we will go into Avengers Campus, Cars Land, Pixar Pier, past the kind of by the Grand, or through that Grizzly River Adventure area, past the Grand California, through the Esplanade, and then we go into Disneyland. Once into Disneyland, we go up Main Street. We take a left into Adventureland and New Orleans Square, around there. Go into Galaxy's Edge, back behind or around Big Thunder. Go through the castle right before or right after mile 4, and then we go. This is different because normally we run through the castle on the back side. This is when we run through the castle on the front side. So a different kind of perspective compared to Walt Disney World. We'll run into Fantasyland around the Matterhorn, back into Tomorrowland, and then back into Fantasyland through Toontown and out backstage at mile 5. Back on the road. Last mile is all on the road into the finish. So basically your first mile and your last mile are all roadway, but that 2 through 4 or 5 is all in the park, which is really great. But yeah, I can't complain too much about these courses as of now. Obviously once we run them, we'll see what we think, but just looking at them, courses seem pretty great. Post race, your finish right in that cast parking lot there. Spectators will be allowed there. There will be medical tent, standard staging compared to the start. Nothing too crazy here. Like I said, no food and beverage. Not really a place they don't really want you to hang out, I guess, too much here post race like we do in Walt Disney World. But moving on, we can go right into then the kids races. The Run Disney Kids races are back for the first time since before COVID. Again, transportation and parking. They want you to park in the Toy Story parking lot. They don't have a specific shared spot yet for drop-off locations. Photo Pass, road closures. That is just it says for the 10K. I don't think that really applies here for the kids races because the kids races are all contained in the cast member parking lot where the staging is. So going into the courses and staging, you will have a 300 meter, a 200 meter, and a 100 meter, as well as a diaper dash. As you can see here, there will be the entry area for the kids. Parents will be over here in the spectator area. You'll start and you go around. If you're a 300 meter, 200 meter, and then 100 meter starts there. And then the finish will finish with the regular finish line for the rest of the races. So yeah, pretty I shouldn't say standard because this is all kind of new from what we're, kind of a new thing we're dealing with here again. But kids racers reminders, they'll get a bib. They'll have a parent claim tag as well, to make sure you get reacquainted with your kid after the race. It does say parents are allowed to run with their children, but only registered children will receive the finisher medallion. So of course, they're all subject to capacity limits. Usually it's the one parent runs with their kid and the other parent or spectators then wait in the spectator area. Nothing too else eventful here. Interested to see how kids races go. We still haven't seen them return to Disney World. But like here, your activity zone will open at 9. A 100-meter race will begin at 10 a.m. They'll start lining you up at 9:45. 200 meters will start lining up at 10 o'clock. That race will begin at 10:20. 300 meter will start lining up at 10:25. And that race will be starting at 10:40. Diaper Dash will begin at 11:10. And kids races will all be done by 11:30. Then the Disneyland Half Marathon. This race is like I said, the main event. We will be starting at 5 a.m. per usual. Start staging will open up at 3:30. Corrals open at 4. Start is at the same place on Disney Way. All standard stuff here. Race etiquette reminders. Spectator viewing will be along the course on Harbor and Catella. You can also cheer on the Esplanade and between the entrances of the parks. Spectator view will also be along the city streets of Anaheim. They do tell you to be mindful of street closures, parking locations, and this is a public city. People are going to be out and about, so do keep that in mind. This is unlike Walt Disney World. This is we're in the middle of Anaheim rather than in the middle of the Disney bubble, so to say. Spectators, they ask you to park in the Toy Story parking lot. Daily parking rates will apply. They do ask you not to hand out any food or beverage to athletes on the race course. We'll see how they police that. But yeah, that is spectators. Transportation, parking, all pretty much the same as the other races. They again lists say they don't have a drop-off location specified for ride share. Photo pass, tracking, road closures. Obviously a lot more road closures because we are running a lot more roadway. But yeah, so just if you are out and about trying to drive through this area, be sure of these road closures throughout. Most of them, it looks like most of them are done, some by 10, a lot of them by 8, 9 o'clock. So keep that in mind if you are driving for the Disneyland Half Marathon. Pre-race, we have one more corral compared to the 10K. We go A through G for the half marathon. E through G will enter on the right side there, and A through D through the kind of the middle of the start staging area there. They do ask you enter off Harbor Boulevard, or off of down here on the bottom. I'm not sure what roadway this is off the top of my head, but those are your options to get into the start staging area there. Moving along to the course itself. Now, course itself is pretty similar to years past, except for a few things. Obviously the start is in a different spot. In the past we would start on Disneyland Drive for Disneyland races. Now we are on Disney Way. But you will start and then do basically your first mile all outside the park on Catella there. Then we go into DCA, kind of following that same route as the 10K. We go into then Disneyland Park through the main entrance. We go out into Disneyland through Tomorrowland, around the Matterhorn, and then through the castle. We go through the opposite way of the castle this time. Then back around through Adventureland and New Orleans Square and through Galaxy's Edge, back out behind Galaxy's Edge through Toontown, a little bit of Fantasyland, and then out to the backstage there. We go down Ball Road through then on Anaheim Boulevard And we just continue all roadways, kind of doing our basically miles 5 through the finish are all Anaheim roadways. A couple things to note. In the past, this race would go into Angel Stadium, and we run around Angel Stadium. This year, we do run near Angel Stadium. As you can see, Angel Stadium is right here, but we do not go into Angel Stadium, it appears, which is kind of a disappointment. I was hoping we would go into Angel Stadium. I am, a baseball fan, so would have been cool to run into Angel Stadium, as it is a stadium I've never been to. You also run by the Honda Center. That is over here. So another, kind of landmark to keep in mind as we take this course. Finish all in the same spot as the other races. Or I shouldn't say all the other, just the 10K, because the 5K is in the park. But post-race finish, standard compared to the 10K. Not really too much to do in the finish area. I encourage you to get out and enjoy Disneyland Resort. But yeah, that is basically it for the Disneyland Half Marathon. Going back to the weekend events portion, they do have, of course, the event sponsors. This race weekend is presented by Honda, that is our main sponsor, and Katarina's Club is our celebrated charity. They do also feature Downtown Disney on here. Give you some options for discounts. We have some discounts at California Soul, Curl, Surf, Jamba, Jazz Kitchen, Naples, Pandora Jewelry. Or I should say Naples won't have a discount, but they'll have a special runner meal. Pandora will have a looks like a care kit with jewelry purchase. Splitsville will have a early ticketed breakfast menu. You can get reservations there. Sunglass Icon discount, Wetzel's Pretzels discount. We have some early extended hours for, like I mentioned earlier, for certain locations as well. But yeah, then down here we have our event sponsors again. All pretty much the same as Walt Disney World sponsors. But that is it. That is Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend. There's a lot here, but also I think there's still some unknowns. We don't know, a lot about how this weekend's going to look just yet, because we haven't done it in so long. So it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, my first Run Disney in Anaheim. Very excited to do all of this. So that is going to do it for the Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend event guide for 2024. This is my first Run Disney weekend, as I had, or I should say not first Run Disney weekend, first Disneyland Run Disney weekend. So I'm excited to see how I enjoy it, how it compares to Walt Disney World. Courses look great. I'm excited for that. Lots of park time. Lots of new experiences. Be interesting to see how things going back to back like that. So we'll see. But that is going to do it for now. We will hopefully see you at Disneyland, but also, if not, at Walt Disney World. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to me. Instagram, Twitter, wherever. I don't know. I'm everywhere. Not hard to find. So we'll see you then.